Hello, welcome back to Only Pistols. Today we're having a look at a Crosman Mark II. This is a 177 CO2 powered target pistol, dating from the mid-60s. Let's start by looking at the markings. So on this side, Crosman Mark II target, 177 caliber pellet gun. On here then as well, you've got up for the safety, down for fire, and an indication for the ability to alter the velocity. On the other side, you've got the serial number, and a bit further on, Crosman Arms, Fairport, New York, USA, patent pending, and the corresponding instruction for altering the power. That's it for the markings. So looking at the pistol itself, it's cast aluminium frame and barrel shroud, and it's a painted finish, and this one has been repainted at some point fairly recently before I got it, because there's actually paint on the loading probe, so there's which wouldn't be on the original. The grips are black plastic and very definitely a target inspired grip with a lovely big thumb rest, so very good grip. They were only available right-handed, so they are usable left-handed, but you don't get anything like the support you get if you're shooting it right-handed. Controls, well, obviously you've got a trigger, which is steel, and that's the other thing about the construction, is there's aluminium on the outside, but what you get then is the parts of it are steel and brass. So the barrel is rifled barrel, and that's held in with that captive end nut at the end, and it's a rifled steel barrel. Other controls, cocking levers here, so these are the bit what you use to actually set the hammer, cock the hammer, and in there in the end is that screw, and that increases or decreases the preload on the spring that moves the hammer. So there's quite a lot of adjustment, and the knob for loading it is there on the end, so that's got that pin there is what you're actually moving, so you lift that up to lock it in, turn it down, and that means it can then slide back, so you have actually got a locked breech. The safety can only be set once the trigger's cocked, so it's only when it's cocked that you can actually use the trigger. But see, down for fire. So that's the controls, fairly basic. Sights, adjustable for windage and elevation at the rear, and the sight adjustment is a push-pull, and you need to make sure before you adjust the elevation that you've slackened one of these off very slightly, because otherwise, as you can see there, they're holding the rear sight leaf. So you need to let those off before you adjust the elevation, even if you only don't want to mess with the windage. Otherwise, push-pull. The rear sight picture is actually quite busy depending on where you've got the rear sight, because obviously the bit in the middle there is the bit that you're actually adjusting, and otherwise you've got this kind of castle affair. So front sight, nice deep patridge undercut, so provides a very nice foresight picture, and you just need to make sure that you are really focusing on that foresight when you get your sight picture, and yeah, very usable. So how do you load it with CO2? Well, the CO2 bulb, which is standard 12 gram Crosman CO2 bulb, became the standard 12 gram bulb, goes in the butt. So the loading is done by undoing this loading part at the bottom, and if you can just see in there, there's a little piercing spike, which this lever, when you pull this lever over, it pushes the spike up into the capsule, and then you release it. So let's get some CO2 into it. CO2 capsule goes in base first, then the cap. Screw that down. That's it. It doesn't need to go particularly hard, but just down. As with most CO2 guns, cock it so that you're taking the weight off the valve, and then all you do is pull that lever over and let it go back, and that's it. That's now primed, so check that. That's it, fired perfectly. So one of the other things about this model, so the model from 1966 to 1980, was that they had two power settings available. So the first stage is there, and you can see you've still got some travel left in the hammer ears. So you fire that, and you just got a reduced amount of CO2 just because you've got less momentum in the hammer. Full power, you take it all the way to the front, so no space there at all, and just more gas. And like I said, you can adjust it as well by increasing the preload on the hammer. I think this one's been wound in pretty much all the way, most were, but can get a bit more power out of them if you need to by probably putting a better spring in. This one's probably been there since 1966 or thereabouts. So to load it with a pellet, you undo the loading gate at the back, so turn it over, draw that back, place a pellet in the tray, push it forwards, cock it, and fire. The thing with these was that they were also designed to fire BBs. Now, that formed its own issue because you take a standard copper BB and you drop it down the barrel, and it rolls straight out because it's undersized. So how did Crosman get around that? Well, they put a magnet on the tip of the loading probe. So now you've got your BB and it's not falling out until you fire it. I suppose you could also use larger BBs. So the lead Gamo BBs I found are large enough to not fall out, and also have the advantage, and that's what happens if you don't lock it, also have the advantage of engaging the rifling properly. So what else about it? Well, the 2 power setting, I find certainly with this gun, and I've seen other reports, has an impact on the trigger. So if you pull it just to the first stage, that in theory should now give you a single stage trigger, and it kind of does and kind of doesn't. What you get is a very draggy and imprecise trigger, so you get not much feel for it. You can see it does move, and it's very draggy, and it's very difficult to work out where the point it's actually going to fire. Whereas if you cock it all the way to full power, you get a very nice trigger. So you can see there's a very easily defined first stage take up, and you reach a very nice step, and then you got really rather quite a nice trigger. So definitely one to be aware of if you've got one of these. Use it on full power. Using it on full power, you should get 45-ish shots out of it at full power. You can get probably up to 50 by using the low power settings, so you're not really getting much of an advantage over it. So just use it on its full power. It's how it's meant to be used, which is probably why in the late 80s, from 1980 to 86, when they finished production of the Mark II, the 177, they got rid of it and you just had the full power setting only. Accuracy wise, well, it's a target pistol. Excuse the flyer. This is at 10 meters. Sights haven't been corrected, so you can see with the group there that shows the kind of possibility you've got more than capable of shooting 10s and definitely capable of holding the 9. If that had been corrected, that would have been 9s and 10s. So pretty good accuracy wise, no slouch, but quite hard work by today in comparison with today's modern or even target pistols of that era. Between the grip, not having a palm shelf, and those really busy sights, which are something you really have to concentrate on. This is an accurate gun, but you have to work at it. So there you go. The Crosman Mark II target, a 177 target pistol, CO2 powered. Brilliant today as it was when it was made from 1966 to 1986. So a 20-year production run, and still really good if you can find one. Definitely worth having and adding to your collection if you can. If you've liked this, then please like, subscribe, share it, tell other people about it. It all helps. And otherwise, I'll see you again soon with another target pistol. Bye.